Hello and welcome to the Naked Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Emerald Maraid, and I'm so glad you're here. This space is devoted to real, raw, and radically honest conversations with some of the most magnetic, diverse, and wonderful humans I've had the honor of crossing paths with. From mystics to makers, teachers to truth seekers, this is a home for anyone craving depth, connection, and clarity. At the heart of this podcast is a mission to unshame the human experience. We're here to dismantle the silence, to bring to light what we've been taught to hide, and to reclaim our voices through storytelling. Whether we're unpacking grief, celebrating joy, exploring sensuality and identity, or getting curious about what it really means to live an authentic and meaningful life, nothing is off limits here. This is a community built through conversation, a place where you get to feel seen, embraced, and reminded that you're never alone. So get cozy, stay open, and let's get naked in the most soul-expanding, liberating way possible. Welcome to Naked Conversations. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Naked Conversations podcast. Today, I am joined by a dear sister, Jessica Rosemary, who I know from our time together in Vancouver. We met at a breathwork event close to 4 years ago, and we met in the integration phase on the dance floor. We were having a little boogie together, and it was an immediate recognition as a fellow intuitive soul. Jessica is a spinal energetics level 2 practitioner, a Kundalini de-armoring facilitator, and an intuitive energy worker certified in over 8 different modalities. My work with Jessica was nothing short of transformational, really, and I can truly attest to the fact that she helps you drop the act, negotiating your worth, and help you to start living the life that actually feels like yours. She has a deeply shamanic presence and a intuitive way of being and knowing that helps you to remember yourself. So she works with women who are done shrinking, exhausted from performing, and ready to finally feel at home in their own skin. After walking herself out of chronic illness and years of contorting to fit everybody else's rules, she now lives as a digital nomad between oceans, jungles, and vibrant cities, running online energy sessions, deep dive mentorships, and immersive group journeys. I had such a fantastic time chatting with Jess. So many deep truths and wisdom teachings and knowledge came out of this conversation, and I hope that you enjoy listening to it as much as I enjoyed recording it. See you on the other side. Hello, Jessica. It's so wonderful to have you here on the podcast.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
It's so wonderful. As soon as we had started this conversation, I just wanted to give you this big virtual hug and just see.
Receiving that as
Yeah.
an energetic hug.
Oh my goodness. It's so wonderful to have you here. And as I was saying before we started this call, I am quite intentional about the people that I host on this podcast. And I think it's really wonderful to have known you in person and now seeing your journey being, nomadic and online and, doing your work from a variety of different places. So I wanted to give the opportunity for you to explain who you are and what you do. And to kind of give you an opportunity to bio yourself online. Here.
All right. Well, I do a multitude of different things. I'm definitely very multi-dimensional and talented in that way. So I work predominantly with women and really just helping them strip back all the kind of protective ways that they've been showing up in their lives. Maybe it's in their career or their job or choosing things that really aren't in alignment for them, and helping them kind of distill themselves back into that authentic place, and really create a life from that space. So I do a combination of energy work, mainly spinal energetics and Kundalini activation, along with mentorship. I have a background in nutrition and things like that, so sometimes those things come up as well. So it really is multidisciplined in that way. But really what I want for the world is for people to really just live a good life, to be completely honest with you, and to feel like they're not trapped or stuck in a system, and that they can really thrive being who they are.
It's so beautiful. Yeah, I definitely relate to that piece of, stripping back the layers. I think that so many people are stuck in spaces of feeling like they are prescribed to a matrix that doesn't necessarily serve them, and they're stuck in
Mm.
this space of like a lack of sovereignty around choosing certain ideas and patterns for themselves. And I know energy work is so incredibly potent and gentle in reorienting people towards a life that feels true and authentic for them. So yeah,
Mm.
it's really amazing to know that you're doing that work. And I'm curious to know a little bit about your journey. Um, as to like what brought you to the space that you're currently in, because I know that it hasn't always been easy to be a hypersensitive individual.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I'm like, how far back do we go here? I mean,
Hmm.
I could go back to infancy, or
Let's
I
go
could
back
go.
to the womb. I'm kidding. Take that
No,
question
it's so funny.
as you desire to take it. But I think maybe
Yeah.
early childhood would be a good place to start.
Yeah, for sure. It was actually funny. I had a client reflect back to me recently how big um, it is to move from a different country. And it reminded me of this part of my journey. So I actually think this would be a really great place to start. So I don't look like it, but I'm actually an immigrant. And I moved from the UK when I was 5. And I really feel like that was such a massive part of my journey because it allowed me to question what home really is. And when
Mm-hmm.
I think about my work now, I'm like, wow, was that ever like the cornerstone of everything? And so moving from a different country, although I spoke English, I can't even imagine speaking a different language.
Mm-hmm.
I had an accent and I didn't really feel like I fit in. And, schooling is different in the UK from when you come to Canada. And so I had this kind of really interesting dynamic happening there. And so I started to already really shape these beliefs along with, I think we can all say that our parents influence us. There's things going on there. And then there's society as well. There's all the different things that you're told that you're supposed to do. And
Mm-hmm.
so from that place, I kind of grew up and, I was really boy crazy most of my life. I was obsessed with guys. I was like, I just want them to love me. And I had all these kind of different things. And I really wanted to be a model. I was like scouted in London when I was like 14 or 15. And I was like, Mom, please, can I do it? Can I do it? And she was kind of like, no, like maybe, maybe when you're older sort of thing. And so I had this idea in my mind of like, oh yeah, I'm going to be famous. I'm going to be a model. I'm going to do this. And that really like started the snowball effect.
Mm-hmm.
So my life was very much about like, how skinny can I be? How pretty can I look? How many people like me? How popular can I be? And I feel like it's very relatable for a lot of people. But I went to like extreme extents to kind of go to that place. Um, and so a lot of my problems really stem from like my relationship to my body, kind of, I guess, like your first home in a way for
Totally.
the soul.
Interesting. You said that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, I fell into a lot of really kind of negative eating patterns, restrictive eating. Thankfully, no purging. I'm so glad that I never really got into that, but really, really restrictive eating. And then which led to a binge eating cycle, like consistently in my kind of 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And I just woke up in my kind of like mid 20s to this idea that I'm like, I really don't like myself
Yeah.
because I've been trying to like contort myself into this box thinking that like, if someone if a guy likes me, if I have lots of friends, if I'm getting this approval, if my body looks a certain way, like that's the only time I'm actually loved.
Completely.
Um
I think that speaks
and
to a
I
lot of people in the sense
sorry.
that like a lot of people are taking external validation and like making it a like it once I get this, then I'll be happy, right? Like I think it just speaks so much to the culture that we live in that it's also externally motivated. Yet we haven't like found that home within ourselves. Like, well, what actually feels right to me? Like when will I feel worthy? Like it's never dictated from the outside. So I appreciate you sharing that. It's very potent.
100%. And, I think when I think of these issues, whether it's disordered eating, whether it's relationship dynamics, whether it's workaholism, all things that I've struggled with in my life,
Mhm.
it's a systemic issue. It's not, it's cultural, it's what we feel like we have to do. And at the same time, it's our responsibility to choose the life that we want. And when we're actually truly sovereign and thinking for ourselves, we can question those narratives and really ask ourselves, like, is this really in alignment with me? And is this actually the path that I want to go down? It's not that even those things are wrong. I actually think, some people are different. Like some people are going to work more than others. Some people are not going to. Some people are going to be stay-at-home moms, and I think all of those roles are really beautiful. But actually, acknowledging those roles as like important, right? Like a stay-at-home mom is, I mean, I don't want to say that's not a job. Like that's hard work there. But like just as an example, like a societal example, right? Like it's like those are just as important. I think, art is a good example of this too. Like art keeps us alive. It helps us transform emotions. It helps us bring life into everything that we do. And so I think those things are vital for human beings. Yeah. And then I guess continuing kind of down that road, I started getting interested in healing. At the time, I was working in nightlife. I think I was working 2 jobs. Yeah, I was working at a chiropractic office. Don't ask me why. Really early mornings, really long days, and then I worked at a nightclub doing bottle service from like Thursday to Saturday, sometimes Sunday. So I was really worn out, really, really tired. I also had a lot of food intolerances that I had developed as well that I didn't know about until a little bit later. And so I was running on completely empty, and my body just started falling apart. Started getting weird rashes on my face. I was waking up every day with like super puffy eyes, just so many different things. And that was the moment I was like, okay, something is really wrong here. And this isn't going to work. This isn't sustainable for me. Like I need to figure something out. And then funny enough, COVID happened, of course. It's like the turning point for so many people, right? It really thrust us to look at, what happens when we slow down? What happens when we don't have the things that we've assigned all of our value to? And right around that time as well, funny enough, also split up with my partner, which he was a lovely guy. We just weren't right for each other. I took a microdose that wasn't a microdose. And I, in that moment, realized that we were not supposed to be together, which was really, really funny. And I think it had been kind of surfacing for a while, and that just kind of brought it out. And so I was alone. I was completely alone. I had been working with a healing community they're huge now, that I had a lot of relief with. And I found a lot of really amazing practices through them. But the relationship with them had also kind of come under some tension, and I was starting to question a lot of the things that they were teaching. It felt a bit cult-like to me. And so I felt like I had, left my life to kind of be with this community of people. And then they weren't really there for me in the way that I thought they were going to be. So I was alone, and I decided to take my savings and I moved into an apartment in Whistler, completely alone for like, oh, how long was it? I don't know, a couple months. And I was just like, I'm just gonna not talk to anyone. And I decided to focus on my work, which, I still had my one kind of little vice. I was growing, like at the time I was doing more nutrition stuff and health related things, and then working with this body work that I had learned. And I really found a lot of myself there because I was forced to let go of all these attachments that I had created in my life of like, what made my life worth living, who made my life worth living. And after that, I just found this really, really childlike, beautiful, joyful spirit of mine. And when I returned back to the city, I really kept this for a long time. And then I had the moment of money, and I went, oh my gosh, I'm not making any money. Okay, well, now I need to balance these two forces in my life of like, I can't just float off into the ethers and play and frolic. I mean, I can, but I do know a big part of my mission here is to really ground these things into real life and like really be here. I really feel like we really are supposed to be here.
And
And
through the
so
body. right?
Exactly.
Through the body.
Exactly. Like again, like if we could come back to the idea of home, like
Mhm.
this is our home right now. Our body is our home, the earth is our home. And I mean, we can go deeper into this conversation for sure, but like I think that this is a really big representation of this idea that like, oh, like God is up here and
Mm.
the earth doesn't matter, the body doesn't matter, and that's
Mm.
the descent into the earth, right? And
Mm.
so having that beautiful connection between the two, and even the
Mm.
underworld, like that,
Totally.
like, that's
The
where all of our
underworld, the
power
unseen,
lies.
the
That's where all of our
unseen.
power lies.
The
Exactly.
mystery, that's where it's all happening. That's where it's all kind of being born from, this like cosmic stew of things that we haven't even necessarily tapped into. But I do believe
Absolutely.
that we're coming into an age of consciousness where we're starting to understand that relationship between the heaven and the body. Like there is a definite kind of thread and a tapestry
Yeah.
being woven into reality based on that relationship that we're constantly cultivating between heaven and earth, body and soul. Very interesting. I've
Yeah.
been getting very into that lately. So I would love to go down that rabbit hole too with you. Yes, I
For
didn't mean
sure.
to cut you off there, but
No, it's totally okay. I had a feeling that one was gonna hit pretty good there. Yeah, and so that's been really like my explorations for the last like, oh gosh, 4 or 5 years is
Mm,
really not only exploring different healing modalities and really honoring the body. And I'm a really big fan of emotional release work, any kind. I've been trained in breath work, I've been trained in body work, I've been trained in de-armoring, Kundalini, all these spinal energetics, all these different modalities. But anything that really helps us get into the body so that we can actually alchemize that discomfort in real time
mm.
so that we can move forward. We get better at feeling. I just changed my bio to I'm team feel your feelings and do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because so we've been taught so long to be successful that you kind of have to say, F your feelings, like
Mm,
just keep going forward. And that is one way of doing it. You can be
mm,
successful doing that. But I have seen time and time again, a lot of people, they're not healthy. Their body falls
mm.
apart. They
Okay,
burn
so
out at
cute.
some point in their life because they're like, oh my gosh, I've just been overriding this
Mm,
thing. Or they get to a point and they realize that like this isn't even what I wanted. I've created this
mm.
beast that I don't want anymore. Now
Absolutely.
what do I do?
Mm,
Right. And some people will, they'll sell their business or whatever.
yeah.
But then that doesn't always leave them with what they want as well. And so that's still an amazing path. You can still learn so much about yourself down that path. But for me, because I've already been through the body stuff, I was like, okay, let's try to honor these parts of myself
Mm,
while I'm moving forward, and not let that stop me, not let that stop me from growing and expanding and doing the things that move the needle forward in
mm,
at the end of the day.
yeah.
And so yeah, and then this is really where my business has been birthed. I would say like a lot of trial and error in that period of time, a lot of messing up, trying really hard, and then being like, wow, I'm trying way too hard. Let's just
Mm.
pull back a little bit, can be a little more detached.
Mm.
And yeah, and just learning and growing through my own process of supporting people. But I really want to stress as well, like I tried to grow something for so long, and I was trying to help people as I was processing a lot of my
Mm.
stuff in the beginning, and I realized that's actually quite toxic. And I'm not saying that we're not always growing and we're not always evolving,
Mm.
but I think getting really honest with what you can help people with and your scope of practice is very, very important.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I
I
think finally when I went through that process, that's when things started to actually happen for me
mm,
because I was like, oh, like I actually know what I'm doing now. I'm not just
mm.
like, oh, yeah, I can help you with this, but like I haven't even really fully figured it out in myself yet.
Absolutely. I absolutely love what you just touched on as well around like this feeling your feelings and doing it anyway. I think it is so circular in terms of like your own journey in what you had
Mm,
just, reflected in that like when you can actually sit with yourself and alchemize those emotions and like understand that you're a deeply feeling person and that not necessarily everything needs to be constantly you don't constantly need to prove anything to anybody in order to like be enough. Like you can just be
Mm-hmm.
okay with where you are and with what emotions are constantly that are circling through you and that you are coming up. And like when you're able to meet those in a very deep and profound way, then like space starts to open up for what actually is your path. And then you're able to discern so much
Absolutely.
easier when you're actually able to be vulnerable with yourself and to admit to yourself the imperfections, quote unquote, that you might have. And they're not imperfections, they're just human emotions, right?
Humanity.
It's
Yeah,
just
like
humanity. And that's so interesting. I think it's even
100%.
for myself who is like quite conscious of language to even say that, like it just shows like the undercurrents of societal programming that we even have through our language and through our voice that we're
Mm-hmm.
constantly trying to work through, right? Like what is the relationship that I have to myself and how can that benefit other people when I truly get
Absolutely.
into alignment with what is my purpose?
Yeah, absolutely. And going into that as well, like what happens when we don't express those parts of ourselves, whether it's emotions,
Mm,
whether it's maybe the darker, more shadowy parts of our human nature, and we don't give them space, they become part of our identity,
mm,
or they unconsciously start to express themselves in ways that don't serve us. I saw this post this past week, and I actually reposted it about all these spiritual gurus that have come out, and there's like all this stuff about them that they're like, oh, I won't say it on here, but like they're doing nasty things, they're doing
yeah.
horrible things with people, with women, and all kinds of things, and there's tons of allegations against them. And it's like, I think this is what we're moving away from as a society, is like this idea that it's not about containing yourself and being perfect and being this like,
Mm,
just this is all I can be, I'm one with the divine.
mm,
It's recognizing your humanity and finding spaces in healthy ways for those things to come out, like for your rage to come out, so that
mm,
like you don't get in a conversation and just start like screaming at your partner or screaming on the road,
mm.
like
Completely.
letting that kind of air out and be like, okay, now I actually feel clear, now I actually feel soft,
I
now I can
love
actually sink into my nervous system.
thousand
Yeah.
percent. And it's through your body, right? And it's the reconciliation of your emotions that are happening within you at any given time, right? And then recognizing that there's a way that you can give this back to the earth. And the earth can hold it. For
Mm-hmm.
example, I went up to Squamish the other day and I was feeling a little bit like it was after my silent retreat and I was feeling a little bit anxious. I went up with a friend of mine who was dealing with some anxiety and stuff. And it's like, I need to just like get into the Squamish River. It's November. I just like needed the water to cleanse me of this like anxiety that I was feeling. It's like, oh, okay, I'm like feeling this in my body and I need the water to just like kind of cleanse this feeling, like so I can just feel this kind of somatic release over me. And I got out and I felt fantastic. It was like, oh, that's just dispelled. The water really just washed that away from me. And I think it's in
Mm-hmm.
coming into that inner connection within and then bringing that to the land in a very like honest way and being in communication and relationship to that, like it really does ground us back into like into our home.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, I love that so much. And I feel like just you saying that, it just reminded me of this, honoring of there's more to life.
mm,
There's multi dimensions that things are kind of landing on. And when I think of like, even when we practice spinal energetics, we work with layers of the field. So we
mm,
work with your emotional layer, we work with your identity layer, we work with your spiritual layer. All of these different layers hold different things. And for you going into the water, it's like you're working with this like piece of you that's like, I identify with taking care of myself. I feel this somatic feeling of the water running over me. I'm
mm,
using my imagination in connection with the earth to help me move that energy. And so you're using all these different pieces of existence. And I
mm.
just think it's so beautiful and it's so cool.
I've really been diving into that over the course of the last 6 or so months of really coming into like a deep and like reverent relationship with land, spirit. It's all
Mm-hmm.
so deeply connected. And I think, having mentioned that you work multidimensionally and in a multi hyphenate way, I feel like sometimes it can be very restrictive to only have kind of your blinders on and be doing one path of things, right? Like when we
Yeah.
are, it's such a holistic way of coming back to wholeness that we've really, I think, focused either on like the mental or the physical or the spiritual or the emotional, but it's really the whole field of it coming together and like the weaving of that relationality that like things can actually start to change.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think to add to that too, like exactly, like, and knowing which part you're working with when is so helpful. You
Yeah.
know, like it's like, have you ever had that where you're one day you have a good cry and you're like, oh my God, I feel so much better and I can move on and I can just like keep going. And then other days you have a good cry and it just, you're like, I'm still stuck in this like, meh,
Sad.
you
Yeah.
know? And then that to me would be like, okay, well, maybe something a little bit bigger is happening. Maybe there's a
Mm,
spiritual thing that like you don't have as much control over, and you kind of just have to ride the wave of like what that's teaching you. Or maybe it's an identity thing. Maybe there's some shame there. There's something
mhm,
about your identity that you're not in coherence with. And so
mm.
that those emotions are kind of helping you tune into that. And so yeah, I just think it's when you realize that there's more going on, it can be really supportive for you to navigate
A
life.
1,000%, 1,000%. And I also, I wanted to mention this to you because I think that you'll actually really appreciate this. But it's coming back into like this relationship of like devotion to self almost, like rather than like
Mm,
shaming your
mhm,
body and shaming the things that are coming up or the emotions or like the cycle that you might be moving through or like any kind of ideas of who you need to be. It's like coming back into like a devotional relationship with like what is here and now and like the emotion that is coming up or, the situation and like being able to like bring that into like a devotional space rather than like a shaming space. I think that that's really a paradigm that we're kind of moving towards as well, or at least I'd like to believe that I'm starting to build that paradigm within myself and then hopefully allowing that to kind of emanate outwards. But there's so many times where we like don't want things to be here, right? Like we have such an
mhm,
aversion to like certain emotions or feelings or anger or whatever it is. And it's like you sometimes you just have to like be in devotion to what that's teaching you and like have a
mhm.
totally changed relationship towards it.
I love that you're bringing this up. I love that you're bringing this up because so often people let what's happening, like the emotional landscape, stop them from moving forward.
Mm,
And when you tune into the energy of devotion, devotion isn't like, oh, I'm going to stop necessarily doing what I'm doing. It's being so, whether it's devotion to self,
mm,
or devotion to a path that you're walking
mm,
walking down, right? If you're walking down a path and you're like, I'm going to devote myself to this path, it doesn't mean that every single day you're going to want to show up. You're going to
mm,
want to do the thing, but it's about tuning in and being like, okay, I don't necessarily want to do this today, but what inside of me am I meeting and how can I meet that so that I can still keep moving forward and showing up? And I think this is the difference between discipline and devotion. I've
mm,
had two places in my life that I've really been taught this lesson. The first one is my boyfriend used to run a 100-day fitness challenge. I did it 2 times in a row. I did 200 days. And before anyone is like, oh my gosh, that sounds horrible. It's like 15 minutes a day. Like literally anyone can do it. Yes, it was very, very hard, but oh my goodness, it taught me so much about myself, my patterns, how I make
mm,
excuses, the emotions that stop me from doing things, all of those things. And it really allowed me to truly, truly meet myself through that process. So I think that, like people are like, oh, it doesn't feel good, so I should stop doing it. Not necessarily true.
mm,
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes I think that is healthy, but sometimes moving forward and actually doing it anyway can bring
mm.
you so much more. The other way that I've learned this, and this is one of my favorite practices, I love Kundalini yoga. I like fell in love with it like in the last like couple years. It saved me last year. I was kind of still in my Saturn return. It kind of went in and out, but it like saved
But
me in
not
my
stop.
Saturn
It's not getting
return.
out of Pisces, it
Oh
seems.
my God, I know. What's going on here? We're just being like, it's just
It's
like, no, we're
back
all
and
getting
forth, back
lost in
and forth. It's like
the collective soup.
flapped around. Anyhow.
But yeah, but Kundalini yoga it's pushing yourself to the point where you're like, this is so hard. I can't do this. And then all of a sudden you break and spirit like enters your body and it just
Mhm.
start and it's like I've had so many profound moments where it doesn't even feel like I'm the one holding my arms up anymore.
Mm.
there's
Yeah.
something else moving me, and I'm not
Mm.
using my muscles. I'm not using my strength, my willpower. I'm using thy willpower.
Yeah.
And it's such a powerful feeling to recognize in your own body. And I think we can only do that in times of like really surrendering ourselves to a process.
1,000%. Oh my gosh. We are on the same wavelength. I've recently been rereading one of my favorite books, The Anatomy of the Spirit.
Oh, I love that. Such a
Carolyn
good
Miss.
book.
I'll link it, but I've also been I've been very interested in like in the throat and expression
Mm,
and the whole notion of the third of the fifth chakra is like aligning your like surrendering your will to divine will and this allowance of expression to really channel through you and through your voice and through your expression, whether it's the movement of your body, whether it's a song, whether it's a creative force that is kind of being channeled through you. It's like, can you really surrender it so that something else can move you? And that I think is also very in alignment with devotion in and of
mm,
itself, right? Like I am devoted to being a channel for God, source, universe, spirit, whatever it is. And that's not an easy thing to come to because we have so many like tribal programming that we go through or like does this it's essentially what you've
yeah.
spoken to on your own path of like do like I want to feel belong. I want to feel like a sense of belonging with my family. I want to like be accepted in society, but then there's this kind of grander purpose that people can align themselves to that's so like whoa, this is what I'm meant to be doing. And I think that it's very brave,
Hmm.
and
I
people can access it through a Kundalini
absolutely.
yoga practice or like from really pushing themselves physically, mostly, I feel like, and emotionally too, though, I think in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You get to this like breaking,
Yeah.
like, I can't fucking do this alone anymore. Like, I need someone
Yeah.
to step in and like take the wheel because this is too much, you know?
Yeah,
So it
absolutely.
becomes this
Absolutely. Well,
very cool.
totally. And it's like, I think we can all probably, have this moment. We've all probably had a moment like this at some point in our lives. And if you haven't, you're probably going to have one. Sorry to break it to you. But like, we all kind of come to this breaking point. And I think that that is really where like truth emerges from, kind of like you spoke to. And it's funny, I didn't mention this in my story before, but I had a lot of issues with, I mean, I worked in nightlife, so I was drinking, I was partying. I won't go into explicit detail, but I was partying pretty hard. And I really struggled with that for a number of years. And I had to get to a point where I was just so sick of myself.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm so over it. And then that's really where that magic came from because it was no longer you surrender who you thought you were, I think, in those moments.
Oh, that's so powerful. It's almost like an ego death.
Really, it's like your identity breaks. And so you're like, okay, I'm nothing, no one anymore. Like I'm not, because I'm clearly not this person.
Mhm.
So let's just go. Like, let's
See
just
what
keep going
is.
forward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow, that's profound. And I mean, I can definitely relate to that in the sense that like I think I was a victim to my like own suffering for so long. And like that can also just be an addiction in and of itself, right? Like you
100%.
just become like, oh, like this is my life. And like it just becomes this like vicious circle of like you're sick of yourself, but like you almost become addicted to being sick of yourself.
1000. That's like the bumper sticker for Pisces girl. I'm like, that's just,
Like I
there you
just want to
go.
escape this. Like let me fucking get away from whatever this is. Um,
Yeah.
and I there was a point this summer actually. I was camping, and as I had mentioned before, I've been doing a lot of like these land-based practices, and I just came to this point where I'm like, I can't fucking do this anymore. Like I can't be a victim to these stories that I have that are going on in my
Mm,
mind anymore. Like it's all just story. It's all ego. It's all protection. It's
mhm,
if I let these protections go, then who am I? Like I just am.
mhm.
And it's been a ride. It's been a
Yeah,
journey. Like a total journey
absolutely.
of like rediscovering like, well, who am I in my essence? Like the essence of you is like it's nothing but it's everything. It's the duality
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
everything. It's something else.
Yeah, you have to have a lot of like trust in that like who you are right now is perfect and kind of just moving I mean, it's so hard to talk about. I'm sure you know. It's so nuanced, and I've been having a lot of moments recently of that really like, for lack of a better term, like that kind of I am presence and being like, whoa, I just felt everything just go for a second there.
Mhm.
But I think like that's part of being in the human experience and just accepting this is that like we're always going to have an ego. And unfortunately, when we become spiritual, that ego just turns into a spiritual ego and it creates its own stories and ways of existing. And for me, like my resolution to all of this is just like, how can we take more radical responsibility over our lives, our choices, and where we are? Like, it's like there's no, you, you have, whether you like it or not, where you are right now is a result of who you've been
Mhm.
and the choices you've made. And I'm not
Totally.
saying that there's things that can't happen necessarily outside of your control, but what you do with those things is is the most important. And my favorite analogy for this is the only difference between a superhero and a supervillain is what they do with their trauma, what
Wow.
they've done with their life circumstances,
Yeah.
right?
I,
Um,
yeah, totally. It's choice. Ultimately, it's choice
yeah.
at the end of the
And I'm
day.
not saying choices aren't hard. I think that's like, I have a lot of compassion for the human experience and how challenging things can be. I know you can relate to this. I'm a big feeler. I got big feelings. And like
Feel.
sometimes things feel like the end of the world. And I am a bit dramatic. And that's a part of myself that I've had to really like accept. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, you're being dramatic. We're gonna pick you back up and we're just
It's
gonna
all
keep
gonna be
doing it.
okay. Oh
But
my
we can make space for
God.
that too.
A
Yeah.
thousand percent, a thousand percent. And the choices that we make, I've been kind of ruminating on this in my, I as I mentioned, I went on a silent retreat and I was thinking to myself, like, I'm sure you know the book The Power of Now.
It was one of my first book. Actually, it's really funny. You're bringing up the two of my first spiritual books that really I was like, oh, there's some I'd be really interested in, like whatever this is. I didn't know anything about anything.
The Power of Now,
So
and what was the other one?
the Carolyn Miss one,
Oh, of
the
course. Oh my gosh, these are like heavy hitters classics. Like
so
the
good,
classics.
so
But
good.
in The Power of Now, I've been like kind of ruminating on it and rereading it, and it's that like this eternal sense of presence that just exists beyond right and wrong, beyond past and future, and like really
Mm-hmm.
coming into that essence of like what is here and now. And it was similarly one of my first, like, I don't even know how it even came into my awareness. It was in my house at one point, and my none of my family like is into any of this. And it's like, how did this just appear out of nowhere? I digress. Reading it now, like 15 years later on a spiritual path, is just like a very different read. And you're getting so many different
Mm-hmm.
kinds of downloads from it than you would when you're just kind of a beginner on that path. It's like, oh no, the path of spirituality is just being in the here and now, being with what is. It's
Exactly.
being with what is. It's not creating an ego around it. It's not thinking that you're better than anybody. It's like we're all just here trying to walk each other home. Ultimately,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's struggling in one way or another. Everybody hurts, in the words of REM.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Everybody hurts.
exactly, exactly. Oh, I love that. Yeah, and like it's like, and you don't know what's going through someone's mind. I think, I had a big moment with this a little while ago because I've been working with some really high achieving women, like multi six figure women. And I had this moment, I was like, oh my gosh, you're just like me.
Mhm.
You're just like everyone else. You're struggling with this thing. I'm like, why are you struggling with this? And really seeing that like it doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away and it
Unfortunately,
doesn't matter.
it doesn't, and it doesn't matter. Yes, exactly,
But it also
exactly.
matters a lot.
Exactly. It's exactly. And when I think of
Paradox.
presence too, like it sounds like you've had moments of it. I've definitely had moments of it where like literally I feel like I'm suspended in nothingness and it's the
Mhm.
most beautiful thing. But I actually think a really beautiful bridge to this, not only on like just like a spiritual talk level, but
Mhm.
also on like a brain chemistry, like wavelength level is flow state. Like, when you get into
Mm.
flow state, it's like you're so present. And then you kind of get hit with like pushing the boundaries and the edges of that presence of like, how can I bring more of that into my life? And so I think that some of the most beautiful things that we can do for ourselves is just giving ourselves permission to do activities that get us into flow state, whether you're an artist, whether you're a singer, whether you're a channel, whether it comes out in like, you know, energy work and healing, or just creating art, or being outside in nature, or conversation. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Following your bliss.
Yes.
Please sign up. But truly, no, you make a really good point about that. That's also a freaking amazing book, by Mikhail, whose name is very long and I can't pronounce it.
I don't know if I've ever read that book.
It's an excellent book. Excellent book. I read it a long time ago, but it's really good. And thank you for reminding me of it.
I think I'm going to need your book list later.
Yeah, it's called Flow. Mikhail, and then his last name starts with a C, but it's very long in Polish, and I'm not going to try to pronounce it.
That's okay. I'm probably not going to say it.
Oh yeah, no, the boundaries of that. It's so interesting, like at the top level of like really being in like a state of challenge and then not being challenged enough. Like how can we actually even come into that in our own lives as a channel? Oof. So wild.
It is.
Oh my goodness. It's been so wonderful to chat with you today.
Yeah, my pleasure. I knew I was like, we're either going to be laughing and making jokes the whole time, or like, I'm like, who knows where this is going to go?
Who knows? It'll be what it'll be. It'll be what it'll be. I'm curious if people know where they can find you. If you wanted to give yourself a little bit of a platform to speak around what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I would say all my social handles are Jessica Rosemary with an underscore at the end. So send me a message, follow me, talk to me. I'm pretty full on my client end right now, but you can always message me and we'll try to get you in. I love interacting with new people and taking on new clients as well. So I'm happy to discuss in whatever way. I just started TikToking. I know I'm so late. But I actually had a video go super viral and I'm like, oh, I should probably go on here more.
Is it of you doing spinal?
Just forgive me. It is of me doing spinal on someone. Yeah, it was a really beautiful session. And so I'm not surprised. And, you know, people are confused and gobsmacked and like they don't understand what's happening. And it's hilarious. So yeah.
Absolutely. As somebody who's even, you know, been on your table, it's like, whoa, what is this? Like, this is beyond. It's so cool to be able to tap into that realm.
Yeah. What I do is strange. That's for sure. I always tell people, I'm like, I get it. It's weird. I never thought I'd be doing this, but at the same time, here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Amazing. It was so wonderful to chat with you.
Yeah, it was lovely to chat with you too, love. And thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here and for letting this naked conversation move you. If something stirred in your heart or body, or if you felt seen, softened, awakened, or curious, I'd love to know more. Come find me on Instagram and share what touched you. The intention is to make this a living and breathing relationship, not just a performance. And if you're longing to go deeper, to be met in the raw, and to tend to what's ready to unfold in your soul's calling, my one-to-one sessions are an intimate container for that, where we meet soul to soul, body to body, and in devotion to your truth and your light. You'll find details in the show notes. Until next time.